You pick up a pencil to write something down, and you don't think twice about it. But here's a question most people never ask. Why do we call it lead when there is no lead inside? The answer is a 500-year-old case of mistaken identity. It involves a violent storm, a flock of sheep, a French scientist, and a patent that went all the way to the Supreme Court. The pencil core does not contain lead. It never has. It is made of graphite, a pure form of carbon. And in one small corner of England, a discovery made in 1564 changed the world forever. The graphite story begins on a mountain called Seathwaite Fell in Borrowdale, England. In 1564, a violent storm uprooted an ash tree. Shepherds looking for their lost sheep stumbled upon the fallen tree and found lumps of a strange, shiny black material buried in the ground. The shepherds discovered that this material made thick black marks, so they used it for marking their sheep. The locals called it wad or black lead. They had no idea what it actually was. They just knew it worked. When investigators examined this material, they declared it must be lead ore. But it was not lead. It was an extremely pure form of graphite. Geologists would later call it the purest graphite ever found on Earth. The graphite became so prized that by the 1600s, it was more valuable than gold. The British Crown took control of the mines. Armed guards transported lumps of graphite to the Tower of London in armed stagecoaches. So why did they call it lead? Chemistry in the 1500s was still primitive. The material looked like a shiny, dark metal. It was soft, and it left a mark. Scientists concluded it was a type of lead ore. They called it plumbago, which is Latin for axe like lead. The nickname black lead stuck, and when people put this material into wooden holders, they called the whole thing a lead pencil. But it was not lead. It was carbon. It took nearly 200 years for science to correct this mistake. In 1779, a Swedish chemist named Carl Wilhelm Scheele proved that graphite burned to form carbon dioxide, and therefore it must be another form of carbon, just like charcoal and diamond. By then, the name was too popular to change. We still call it pencil lead today, even though there is no lead in it. Now, there was another serious problem. The Borrowdale mine was the only source of pure, solid graphite on Earth. For nearly 200 years, England had a monopoly on the best pencils. You could simply saw natural graphite into sticks, wrap them in string, and start writing. But by the late 1700s, the supply was running out. The mine would eventually close in 1890, and in France, a crisis was brewing. During the Napoleonic Wars, England and France were enemies. The British naval blockade prevented France from importing English pencils. The French military needed pencils for drawing maps and writing orders. They were completely cut off. The man who solved this problem was a French scientist and army officer named Nicolas-Jacques Conté. In 1795, he invented a method to make pencil leads from powdered graphite. He took low-quality graphite dust, mixed it with clay and water, and pressed the mixture into thin rods. He then fired these rods in a kiln, just like pottery. The result was a pencil core that worked perfectly, and Conté made another brilliant discovery. By changing the ratio of graphite to clay, he could control the hardness of the lead. More clay made the lead harder. More graphite made it softer and blacker. The HB pencil, the 2B, the 4H, all of these grades exist because of Conté's invention in 1795. His method is still used to make pencils today. Now, what about the eraser? That story has a specific date. On March 30th, 1858, a man named Hyman L. Lipman of Philadelphia received a patent for a pencil with an attached eraser. His design had a groove in the wooden shaft where a piece of rubber was inserted and glued. Lipman sold his patent to a man named Joseph Reckendorfer for $100,000, an enormous sum in 1862. Reckendorfer then sued the pencil manufacturer Faber. The case went all the way to the United States Supreme Court. In 1875, the court found the patent invalid because it was just a combination of two existing things. But by then, the pencil with the attached eraser was already a standard design. Every time you write with a pencil, you are holding a piece of history. A shepherd in Borrowdale found a strange black rock in 1564. A Swedish chemist named Scheele proved that it is carbon in 1779. A French inventor named Conté mixed clay and graphite dust in 1795. An American named Lipman attached an eraser in 1858. The name lead pencil is a lie that has lasted for 500 years. But the truth is even more interesting. You are not writing with lead. You are writing with a pure form of carbon, the same element that makes diamonds. Sources.